Sorry about that. I was supposed to record tonight and I forgot to push it right away. So just taking these couple of minutes here, checking in physically and then mentally. What's going on? What are your thoughts? This may seem very routine, very mundane, right? Because we do it every time. It's a very important skill that we should begin to incorporate into our days. Maybe a few times during our day, pausing just for a minute or two. It doesn't always have to be 5 minutes, which we tend to take here. Just a little check-in. How am I feeling physically? Where are my thoughts? Noticing them. What kind of story am I feeding myself? Where am I putting my mental energy? And then emotional. Where am I putting my emotional thoughts, my emotional energy? And then asking yourself, does that serve you? Are you putting your energy mentally, emotionally, physically into your goals, your dreams, your desires? Are you focusing on the joy and manifesting the things, right, that you want? Because if we're putting our energy, our mental thought on why we're not getting where we want, or on anger, right, things like that, frustration, using up valuable energy, taking away from that which we do want, that which we are headed toward. And often we don't realize that that's where we're spending our time, focusing on the things that don't serve us. So the first step is to begin to notice. So that we can begin to focus on those things that do serve us. Things that make us feel good, and the things that we want to achieve. With all that being said, all that food for thought, let's bring the palms of our hands together, lift the thumbs to our heart, and take a moment here, right? Giving yourself a little bit of kindness, a little bit of self-appreciation, positive affirmations, and maybe taking a moment to visualize you succeeding at whatever it is that you want right here, right now. See it. What does it look like? See yourself accomplishing it. Don't just see it as something out there that you may or may not reach. See yourself as having reached it. And keep coming back to it. Here you can allow your chin to bow down toward your chest. Take a moment, fluttering your eyes open, pausing, adjusting to the light. And when you're ready, release your hands and gaze up. Welcome everybody joining me this evening. So those of you that came in maybe after I made the announcement, if you'd like to grab a strap, a belt, a tie of sorts, we're going to use that just to assist in our chest and kind of shoulder opening, and then in some hamstring, inner outer thigh type work. So I like to come up onto my shins into a kneeling position, but you could also stand, you could also come into a chair. You can stay seated on your bottom too if that feels good to you. And we'll just take our strap, lengthening the arms out and applying just that little bit of pressure, right? Don't harm your hands or anything like that, just that little extra pressure just to start to assist in some light movement. Think about bringing the shoulders back and down, back and down. And then just let yourself find that place where that stretch feels good. Now this isn't maybe one of those stretches that we want to stay in for a super long time, right? Because there are some, challenges to it. But we can stay here for a bit and just working on reaching the shoulder blades back and down. And then maybe kind of straightening the elbows a little. Feel that stretch in your bicep, your chest. You could even lift the heart a little bit more, squeezing the glutes. And then maybe allowing those arms to come down and around. Shrug your shoulders. Nice and light. Excellent. And then maybe opening the arms back up. You might need to bend the elbows, right, to come up. And then we'll take a little bend to the right and pull back on the left arm so that our chest rotates up, taking a little bit of a twist, feeling a little deeper opening in the left shoulder armpit area. And then come back and lift up. And we'll take that the other way. So we're not going to stay here too long because I don't want your hands to start cramping and all that. And then open the right arm, right shoulder, gaze up. Little breath there. And then come back, come up maybe one more time. Work those arms down and around. Little light shrug of the shoulders. From here, just dropping our strap to the side. We'll grab that back in a minute, but just giving our hands a little bit of break. You can wiggle your fingers around. And then we'll take the back of the hands, placing the back of the hands onto the mat. Now, the more I come up onto my knees and kind of let my shoulders come forward, that's a little bit less of a stretch on my wrist. The more I start to lean back, that gives me a deeper stretch. If this is too much or more than you want, we can simply do one hand at a time, right? Little assist. Don't force, don't try to push to your in limit. You just feel, right where you feel that little bit of stretching through the wrist. And then if you're doing one side, you can switch and do the other side. More breaths there. And then coming up, gently rotate the hands, bringing the palm of the hand down, fingers facing us. Now, again, if this is more than you want, too intense here, you can always take the stretch here, one hand at a time. You can come up more on the knees. That's going to be a little less tension on the wrist, a little more tension as you lean back and away. So we just started with the shoulders and I brought some work into our hands. So now getting our hands or wrist a little stretch. If you're doing just one hand, be sure to get the other. And then maybe gently coming off, light, easy rolling of the wrist, one direction and the other. Then just spreading the fingers out and closing them a few times. Spread and close, spread and close. Once more, spread and close. We'll come into the hamstring. So you have some options. You can do this seated, right? So you could extend one leg long, placing the strap on the bottom of the ball of that foot and hinge forward here. Or if you're good with coming down onto your back, come on down. We can place the strap on the ball of the right foot here. And then so as not to cramp up our hands, right? If you take your strap and you gently wrap your hand up in your strap, then your hand can just hang. We can start with left knee bent, right leg straight, Applying a little pressure into the ball of the foot, maybe straightening the left leg. We're not trying to stretch so much that we get shakiness. So our hamstrings can be, a little sensitive. If you apply too much pressure, too much stretch, they're going to start shaking. That's kind of like the warning, hey, I'm going too far. And we'll often get a little more shakiness in this from our back position than we will from the seated position. So you can always take this seated. And just allow yourself to come where the stretch feels best to you. Maybe not the deepest stretch, the place that feels best to you. A little rotating at the hip. So you think of the femur, the big bone at the top, and just a little rotating. So you think of the head of the femur into the hip socket. So we're just getting a little bit of mobility there. Nice. And then steadying that back out, and then let the femur lean to the right. Not so much that we roll off the right hip or lean to the left. We're just letting it lean. Maybe a little extra gentle pull on the pinky toe side. Allowing just the right amount of stretch to come down the outer thigh. Tonight is our Yin and Unwind Plus night, so we do get little bit more restfulness, mindfulness, meditation at the end. And then from here, we'll let the right leg come back up. We'll start to bend the right knee. If you're using a strap, you can take it off. And we're going to reach for the bottom of the right foot, pulling it into this half happy baby, and then bringing the left foot up with it, coming into a full happy baby. Now, if you're seated, right, you can do this exact same position, seated, and take that rounding forward. In your happy baby, feel free to move around, feel free to straddle, feel free to just hug the knees into your chest. Notice the difference in the right leg, the right hip, and the left right now. As the right hip has gotten some attention. The left will get some attention. Sometimes I like to do this after we've done, one side, then come into something so you can feel that goodness. It just happened, even with that just a little bit of stretching, a little bit of moving into the right leg. Notice just that difference in the sensation. Relax your shoulders. And we'll bring the feet in towards each other. Bring the feet back down to the ground. Leave the right foot on the ground. Take the strap around the ball of the left foot. Extending the left foot up. And give your fingers a little wiggle. And then maybe wrapping the strap around the hand so you don't have to squeeze the fingers. You do have one of these straps that have all these little hooks in them, loops in them. It's really nice because I can just kind of put my wrist in there. My hands are nice and relaxed. And if you want to straighten the right leg, you can. Take a couple of nice breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale, let it out. And stretch through the hamstring, through the calf. And then maybe that little kind of rotating motion. So just some movement of the femur in the socket. So you can make some circles, or I'm just kind of turning knee in and out. Just getting a little bit of movement. I'm not really turning the knee, it's turning at the hip, right? But I can see my knee moving. Like oiling it up, loosening up the joint. And then from there, we can let the left leg lean a little bit to the right. So if you've had like a hip replacement, or if you've got, some bone on bone in your hip, you'll know it when you start doing that rotation in there. So that's kind of like a check, like what is going on in my hip? It won't feel too good. So if you do notice any of that, any kind of clicking, any type of, just sharper pain in the hip, something to definitely be aware of, maybe get it checked out if it's really bothersome. Just to make sure that the cartilage and everything in your hip is nice and healthy. My husband has like no cartilage left in his shoulder from years of baseball. They were telling him, you can get a shoulder replacement, just like a hip replacement. But getting some stretch, getting some movement, getting some mobility, right, that can help us maybe not get to the point we wear the joint out. Functional fitness plan, right? Taking some self-care time, some stretching, some massaging. Not just always wearing down. And then we'll come back center. And then again, we'll kind of come into our happy baby. So now you can hopefully see a little bit more release in both hips. Now one may still be a little tighter than the other because we just naturally tend to be a little tighter on one side. Just check in, see if your happy baby feels a little bit better. Both sides, perhaps. Take a few breaths there. Again, to bring the knees in. And invite yourself to come into that place where you feel even more comfortable, more relaxed. So maybe it's laying down, maybe it's adding some blankets, some pillows. Maybe for you it's setting up, maybe setting up feels better to you. Give yourself a minute. Find as physically comfortable of a position that you can. Maybe it's getting in your recliner, reclining back onto some pillows. Whatever feels best to you. Place where you can take a couple of breaths. Place where you can physically feel comfortable enough to begin to let go of some tension, of some stress. So if we're in physical discomfort, if we're in physical pain, right, that may add to any type of mental or emotional stress that we're in. So starting with the physical. Then checking in, right, with the mental, the emotional, kind of the same way we started class. See where you are now. Maybe you're already a little bit more relaxed, right? You've let go of some stuff through our poses, through our stretching, our physical releasing. I invite you here to just visualize anything that maybe you're hanging on to. Whether it's kind of tension or emotional feelings, mental thoughts. Can you visualize yourself letting go of it? So there's a couple of things we could do, right? The dandelion is great. You can visualize a dandelion, naming whatever it is that you want to release, and visually see yourself blow it away. Maybe you write it on a piece of paper, right? Just visually here, but this is something you could really do. You tear it up. You burn it. Just starting with the visual of doing it. Just seeing yourself letting go of it. It might not happen instantaneously, right? By beginning to acknowledge and then seeing the letting go. Powerful stuff. And maybe you need to keep with that a little bit. That's okay if you do, but if you're feeling like, I've let go a little, just allow yourself to feel the release. Notice the breath. Notice the lightness of the breath as you have let go. Maybe visualize yourself floating. Because you let go of all this heaviness. You're lighter. Float. You can see yourself just floating, floating above. The more you release, the lighter you become. Feel the lightness. Anytime you feel something beginning to weigh you down, pull you back down, right? Maybe you blow it away in that dandelion. Maybe you see yourself writing it down, tearing it up. Whatever works for you, see yourself letting go of it and feel the lightness coming back. And with the lightness comes possibilities. Just as we did in the beginning of the class, what is it that you have your mind, your sights? What is it that you want to accomplish? And maybe it's something you want to accomplish, in a couple of days. Maybe it's something bigger. But let yourself see it happening. manifesting it, putting it out there, seeing it. Don't hold back. And if heaviness comes in, if blockages come in, right, you can release them. If self-doubt, if that voice inside of your head talks back and says, but this, but that, but this, right here, right now, right? You don't have to listen to it. Right here, right now, you're just going to see it. Feel it. Be with it. Hang on to it. We really and truly do make things happen when we take time to manifest them, when we take time to see them happening. Because otherwise we let the doubt, we let the voices in our head get in the way. So see it, hold on to it, breathe it in. Even as you hold on to it, even as you see what it is that you desire, that you want, you begin to let yourself come back into the space that you're in. Knowing that what it is, right, it's within you. You can feel it within your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body. As you feel the floor beneath you. The movement of your inhale and your exhale. And I will leave you here. Stay with us a bit longer as you like, or maybe you just simply want to lie here and breathe. I just ask that whenever you're ready, give yourself a little bit of time. Try not to be in too big of a hurry. Have a wonderful evening.